Now, I know it's been a little bit, and I know this is my first day back on Twitch doing politics, and I can't help myself. I have to, of course, talk about one of my favorite non-university universities and conservative grift tanks, PragerU. I love going over their 5-minute videos because they're so fucking stupid, and they make it so easy for me to debunk everything they say, which of course is they try and do, which of course is unintentional on their part. But I was looking on their site earlier today about something to cover, and of course I have some good topics of women's sports, nuclear energy, Antifa and BLM, religion, and then I ran across the winner for this week's coverage, and that is the 1619 Project. So, without further ado, PragerU, take it away.
Have you heard of the 1619 Project?
Now, okay, first of all, if you haven't heard about the 1619 Project, I want to say what it is before PragerU gets a chance to spread their lies into your brain holes. And that is, the 1619 Project is ostensibly a left-leaning progressive project to say that, well, in fact, America actually has a very long and sordid history of racism, systemic racism, which is true. There's no way you can defend the fact that that's not the case without looking like some sort of real big dipshit. There's no way that you can say that there's not been a systemic racism project. And I want to say the reason that 1619 was chosen is because that's the year that we started colonizing Americas to a large it was time for the 400th anniversary of the arrival of the first enslaved Africans in the Virginia colony in 1619. So it's named after the first year that the first documented year that enslaved Africans came to America. Now this is a based as fuck. Hey, how's it going, Zero? This is a based as fuck organization. I fucking love them. And yeah, let's see what PragerU has to lie about this time.
It was published by the New York Times in August of 2019. It won the Pulitzer.
Who is this? Wilfred Riley. All right, I like to look up who they. Is that right? Did I spell that right? Almost. 2 L's. I like to look up who they put out here because it's generally a typically good good indication of, oh shit. Nice. Yeah, doing a segment right now, so. Hate crime hoax, how the left is seeing the fake race war. Nice. 2016, participated in the regionally televised debate against alt-right personality Jared Taylor. Value of social, interesting. Is this someone who, went right? I'm confused. It's this is one of those, walk away. What is, hey. Babe, what's he have? What do you have, buddy? What do you have? What is this? Fucking cats are weird. Oh, no. Yeah, I want to. I just kind of want to see Taboo, a book which he argues certain race, gender, and class issues can no longer be discussed in mainstream. I've never heard that before. Interesting. All right. So it seems like someone who was somewhat neo-lib-ish and then went right. We'll see. Let's see what we got.
Prize for commentary in 2020. Its thesis.
Wait,
the United
Associate
Prize
Professor?
for commentary in 2020. Its thesis. The United States was founded in 1619 when the first slave was brought to North America.
No, that's not the thesis. The thesis is that slavery has been present in America, and which is not incorrect, since 1619. And that America, ever since that time, has been fundamentally a racist state, which is true. Like, there are, even if a lot of overtly racist things, there are covertly. God damn it! Hold on. Put this in front of it. There we go. There are a lot of covertly racist things on the books still to this day.
Wait, that brings up some questions. What happened to 1776? To July 4th? The Declaration of Independence?
They're not saying that those things don't exist. What they're saying is that the aspect of the racial power dynamics started in 1619, not 1776. Well, yes, we may have legally become our country, and we have declared ourselves our own independent nation on 1776, and July 4th may be the date of the biggest victory in the colonial war. That doesn't mean that we're dismissing that. It means that there has been racial antagonism in this country since 1619, and that's the point of it.
George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and James Madison. According to the 1619 Project, the Founding Fathers pushed for all that life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness stuff to protect their slave holdings. Independence remained.
I don't believe that's the case. I believe this is really disingenuous. America wasn't Dogma until Black. So. What are they saying? Interactive project declared by Nikole Hannah-Jones to the New York Times, in which contributions newspaper writers, including... Again, I'm not super read up on 1619 Project. I know the general idea behind all of it. Get out of here. Yup, argue that roots in slavery and its aftermath. Absolutely. Poems, short fictions. Like, I don't think anyone's making the claim that it was fundamentally founded to hold their slave holdings. Yeah, like, I don't think this is, it's, yeah, just to re-examine slavery. Like, it's not to say that, there's no part of this, I think, to say that was, like, it was about any of this. This is an incredibly, like, mistargeted fucking thing. Jesus.
England, that was just a smokescreen. To them, everything that's wrong with America is tied to her original sin of slavery, from segregation.
I wouldn't say that, but I think that there's a lot of issues that you can tie back to slavery, yes. And I think that there's a lot of issues in our current racial dynamic, or our current issues on racial dynamics that can definitely get tied back to slavery. Yeah, I think that's a pretty cogent argument to make. I don't think that every issue in America is tied back to slavery, but I definitely think that you can draw a lot of them back to them. I also think there's a lot of like class issues you can probably drive back to slavery, but that's for completely different arguments. I don't think that he's going to get into here.
Segregation to traffic jams. Yes, traffic jams. For the 1619 Project author.
What? You gotta hold on. 1619. Oh, the traffic jam. Okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, so the traffic jam argument that they're trying to make here is that it's Atlanta specifically, or is it Baltimore? And maybe it's Baltimore. Basically, the argument that they're trying to make here for the traffic jam stuff, I know exactly what they're talking about, is the fact that because of issues in segregation and redlining and all that kind of stuff, where white people were starting to move out into the suburbs and black people were forced into certain neighborhoods where jobs were being left, jobs were taken out of, there's an overpopulation and overabundance of people in certain sectors of the city because of historical racial policies that would cause a increased amount of traffic to increase the because of the increased amount of traffic that would actually cause traffic jams. You have more people using a road to get into a particular area. Yes, no, absolutely a pretty cogent argument there. That's not something that's hotly debated. And of course he's framing this in some sort of way of, look how crazy this, the left is for saying this shit's real. But, if you were to actually trace the data down, that's a pretty cogent argument.
Authors, racism is not a part of the American experience. It is the American experience.
I think it's a pretty reductive take, but for some people that definitely is true. Like, if you're black in America, yeah, racism is absolutely the American experience you face. Like, unless you're in like some really, really privileged aspect of it. But even then, I know black people who would be part of the, upper middle class who, while they may not experience tacit racism, they would definitely experience, you know, subvert racism. Like, absolutely. I know, even like I know some people who, like, some black people who have said, well, I don't experience it, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Or I even know black people said, well, excuse me, sorry, I don't experience it at all. And I think to that point that I would say is that true? I would disagree with that. But yeah, no, the whole point is yeah, no, I could absolutely agree that racism is in a that racism is a part of the if you're black or you're a minority in this country, that whatever that, like, racism or transphobia or homophobia or anything, would definitely be a pretty essential part to the American experience.
Is this true?
Like, and I can only really say that as myself as a trans person, that transphobia is absolutely very central to my American experience. I've had to quit jobs because I'm trans. I've had to quit. I had to. There's certain places I don't go because I'm trans. Like, there's certain, like, I don't go out at night. Right now, obviously, because it's COVID, but I don't go to, like, I don't go out to bars at certain parts of towns because I'm trans. I don't go to bars in general because I'm trans. Because I don't want to get, have a few drinks in me. Not too much to drive, obviously, but having gone out with a couple drinks and then it being like 1 a.m. heading home, and all of a sudden having to be really careful because what happens if someone were to jump me because, oh, hey, I'm trans, and they feel offended because they might have found me attractive or something to that effect. But that's just not, like, there's not really a cogent argument to make that can, like, that would come off and not, I don't know, not make sense, I guess. Yeah, it's really weird to say.
Let's look at 3 of the project's major claims. 1. Preserving slavery was the real cause of the...
You what?
The kids are ready to come in. They're going to be muddy.
Okay, I'm going to go get my dogs. I'll be right back. I'm really sorry, everyone. I'm going to have to edit this part out of the video anyway, so give me a sec. All right. Sorry about that. It's snowing. It snowed outside last night, so dogs come in. We don't want them tracking water all over the house. Got to clean their feet off. All right. What do you got to say?
The project's major claims. 1. Preserving...
Let's see what these major claims are before he goes into them. Three major claims. Okay. I don't see... Oh, yeah. Yeah. Slavery absolutely is part of our prison system. Oh my God, 100%. Okay, what are their three major claims? Initial... arguing that it does not announce 1619 as our true founding. Like, what? Yeah, that's. Hold on. What are these three major claims?
Slavery was the real cause of the American Revolution.
No.
If you ask the founders
No. We talked about that. We couldn't find anything
why
about
they no
that.
longer wanted to be a British colony, they would have given you a long list of reasons. Taxation.
And of course, they don't actually put any of... They put the script down here, but they don't put any of their evidence here. You know, of course.
Without representation. Conflicts over debts from the French and Indian War. And the Stamp Act would be just a few.
I mean, yeah, okay, absolutely. Wait, and I would even argue that taxation without representation is absolutely a form of slavery, because at that point in time, you are now being repressed under the government without having a say in your government. Yeah, no. Like, it's not the same as what we consider to be traditional slavery. Absolutely not. But there's a large number of people today who don't have representation because they can't vote, who are in, like, the American prison system, who I would absolutely be confident in saying that they're slaves of the American political system because they don't have a say in the American political system. Pretty like, and obviously not in the same context. I know this is gonna get fucking clipped out of here. I fucking know it. I want all you who fucking clip me to hear this, because guess what? I'm not admitting that. I'm not saying it's the same thing. I'm not making that claim at all. I'm saying that is a smaller, less toxic form of it.
Probably most important was the burning desire to be free, to chart their own
Wait, the burning? You mean just like the slaves wanted to be free?
Destiny as a sovereign nation. Protecting slavery was not under threat from the British.
Hold on. When did the British... I want to say the British abolished slavery. Yeah, 1833. They were already talking about it. Like, it wasn't like, oh my God, this is going to happen tomorrow under threat, but there were aspects to it.
In fact, Britain didn't free the slaves in its overseas colonies until 1833. 57 years later.
Wait, but that doesn't mean they weren't talking about it. That doesn't mean that, some Southern slave owners couldn't have been like, hey, yeah, we might be concerned about this. That doesn't mean that, like, no one's saying that this is the sole and only reason for it, but they can easily say that this was probably a part of it. Yeah, that's a pretty cogent argument to make, even if, like, on the books no one was out there. Like, it's just like no one today is like, like, what's that Richard Spencer audio that came out that, he wasn't going out saying really racist shit in the public, but then you get the audio of him behind closed doors saying really racist and how racist shit and how he wants to enslave everyone. Like, yeah, of course, that's how this shit works. Like, come on.
After the Declaration of Independence, yes, the subject of slavery was hotly debated at the Constitutional Convention, but that was after the war was won.
What? Wait. So just because it was after the war was won means it's not a problem for concern? What?
2. Slavery made America rich.
Oh, no, okay, absolutely, 100%, and it continues to make people rich. That's why we call it wage slavery. Like, we recognize it's not the same, but yeah, no, absolutely. Slavery absolutely made America rich, and it continues to do so.
Slavery made some Americans rich, true enough. Eli Yale, for example, made a fortune.
Yeah. Sorry. All of America wasn't rich because of slavery. Yeah, no, you're right because of that. No.
In the slave trade. He donated money and land for the university that is named after him. But
yeah, and maybe we should fucking name that university. Everything about that. No, they would look at this and be like, well, you want to rename a historic American institution. But, like, looking at this shit, like, yeah, just because he donated money and land doesn't mean shit. He fucking participated in this, like, actively participated in the slave trade. Like, he was one of the biggest people in it. Jesus fucking Christ.
institution of slavery didn't make America.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it did. It absolutely did. How do you think the entire South funded their entire war effort?
Rich.
Like, they literally funded it off of slavery. Like, Southern plantation owners are, like, some of the richest people in history. Like, I mean, at least relatively in that time, like, period. Even like Southern plantation owners, on average, were richer between, like, their northern industrialist counterparts. Like, yeah, no, absolutely. Slavery absolutely made people rich and made America rich. Yeah, no, 100%. 100%.
In fact, the slave system badly slowed the economic development of half the country.
What? No.
As economist Thomas Sowell points out.
Oh my God. Unironically quoting Thomas Sowell on fucking slavery. Jesus fucking Christ. Holy shit. Now, for those of you who don't know who Thomas Sowell is, let's take a minute. Thomas Sowell. Thomas Sowell is a African-American economist, and he did a lot of shit to combat. He was basically thinks systemic racism is an untested, questionable hypothesis that is a piece of propaganda pushed on American people. Like, literally, this guy is the Candace Owen of, like, the 1960s, 1970s, that time period. Yeah, dude, this dude's fucking insane. And, like, I know this not happened. I would fucking love to debate him on any of these topics because it would be fucking incredibly fun for me. And, like, no, I could absolutely destroy him on this. It wouldn't even be funny. But, yeah, no, fucking quote Thomas Sowell to me.
In 1960, just 1 year before the Civil War began, the South had only 1/6 as many factories as the North.
Ooh, what does factories have to do with how, like, economically prosperous it is? The South didn't have as many factories because it had plantations and it had fields. The North didn't have, like, a ton of, like, area to do that because it was more densely populated, so they relied more on factory, where the South was less dense, it was more sparsely populated, so they could have farms, they could have, you know, plantations, all that kind of shit. That doesn't mean that the North was inherently economically superior by any means.
Almost 90% of...
Wait, I have a feeling that this dude would be like, well, you see, because Wall Street's in New York, that means states like you know, the Dakotas are infinitely less prosperous because they're just all farmland, and even though there's massive oil fields and banks and tech companies set up in North Dakota, and there's, you know, a ton of tourism in South Dakota, that they're not as prosperous because New York is larger economic impact. Like yeah, there tends to be more money made there, but that has nothing to do with the fact that, like, there's more factories or anything like that. That doesn't mean there's not economic prosperity there. Like, there's so many factors that go into all of this. Holy shit. I literally do not have fucking 3 hours to explain why the economic factors here are so incredibly wrong. Like, it's absolutely insane to me. Like, there's so many, like, economics is such a complicated subject, but, like, it's not that simple. It's not like, oh, well, you have more factories, like, oh my God, holy shit.
Of the country's skilled, well-paid laborers and professionals were based in the North. Banking,
so?
Railroads, manufacturing, all were concentrated in the North.
That doesn't mean anything. The reason they weren't concentrated in the South is because the South had larger swaths of it used to resource gathering. That doesn't mean that those, oh my God, all of a sudden now they're impoverished. That's a huge fucking lie.
South was an economic backwater. And the cost of a...
Just because people weren't investing in, because there wasn't as many people living down there. That's literally why those factories and banks and, like, railroads and all that stuff was up there because that's where fucking people, where there was higher concentrations of people. And okay, if you own a factory and you rely on people to work in your factory, where are you going to put that factory? Where there's no one, and that you're going to have to really get people to move, or are you going to go put it where there are people who are demanding jobs, and so you can go through and you can find people to work in that factory. Now, I'm not trying to make the argument that capitalism creates jobs, or that rich people create jobs. I'm not trying to get into that. We'll get into capitalism later in this stream. But I am making the argument that when someone's looking to say, I need to make a factory, I need 100 workers to work in this factory, I'm not going to put it in a town where like there's 10 people who don't have jobs. They're going to put it in a town where there's like 150 people who don't have jobs because they can now fill those jobs. Literally has nothing to do. That's why that's there.
Abolishing slavery was enormous, not merely in terms of dollars. Lincoln borrowed billions to pay for it, but also in terms of...
Wait. Yeah, the cost of the war. What are you talking about?
Human life. 360,000 Union soldiers died in order to free 4 million slaves.
Wait. Are you going to make an argument that wasn't worth it? Please don't make that argument. Please don't make that argument. Jesus Christ.
That works out to about 1 soldier in blue for every 10 slaves freed. It's hard to look at that butcher's bill and conclude that the nation turned a profit from slavery.
Whoa! He's literally making the argument. He's making the argument that we didn't turn a profit from slavery because people died to free the slaves. Like, we did that for a lot of reasons. There was so many reasons for that. I mean, yes, the primary reason the Civil War was fought was because of slavery, but that doesn't mean we didn't profit by and large from slavery. Like, slavery absolutely profited the United States massively, more so than almost any other societal factor.
And many things have happened since 1865. In the almost 200 years since the Civil War, the population of the country has grown almost 900%, and our national GDP has increased 12,000%. Slavery did not make America rich.
Wait. Just because our population and our GDP has gone up, that has nothing to do with the fact that slavery... That has nothing to do with this at all. By any means. Are you trying to make some claim? Like, the cost of living has gone way up. Even though the GDP has gone way up, wages have stayed insanely low. That GDP is largely going to upper class and the upper middle class and like highly skilled technical workers. It's not your average person working like a service job. Like you go to the grocery store, those people aren't seeing a huge, massive increase. Like, relatively the same. Like, it's relative. It's a little bit better than it was back in the 1860s, but like even then, there's still questions to be had about all of that. Like, by and large, slavery absolutely has made America tons of money. Like, excuse me, and it still does. Ever heard of prison labor? That's still slavery. Hell. My state, Nebraska, where I, just literally, this election made slavery illegal. Just made slavery illegal. People in prisons no longer can work for corporations for free.
30% said keep it.
Oh, yeah. And, 30% of our population said no. We want it to still be on the books. 30% of my state, granted, it's not a huge voting population. It's what? A little over 1.2 million people, but still 30% of that number still said, yeah, no, I want slavery to be a thing. And granted, it was worded weird. I will give them that. But is 30% really bad at reading, or is it really suspect there? No, slavery has absolutely made America so fucking rich. Even then, the reason we call people under capitalism wage slaves is because the amount of money that they bring in for a company compared to the wages that they get, it's so or would this be something where if Walmart is literally if you're looking at someone at Walmart and being well, they're making $12 to $15 an hour. Does Walmart literally have to be no, you have to live in our housing centers. You have to only, use our brands of products. You can't shop anywhere else. And in fact, we weren't even going to give you money. We're just giving you a place to live and, a stipend to buy in our stores with. That I guarantee you, someone like Walmart could start doing this, and dipshits like this would still be like, "No, that's not slavery. Walmart's not making huge profits off that." Like, no, fuck off.
3. Racism is an unchangeable part of America.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's not even questionable. That's absolutely because we are fundamentally founded as a racist nation, and no, 100%. Like, as long as we have like Republicans in office, we will never stop being a racist country. And even then, I would argue it would take generations upon generations to override this fact. Like, everyone is racist. I don't care who you are. Everyone's racist. That's something you have to recognize. I have parts about me that may not be overtly racist, but I recognize that I have some sort of systemic biases in me that I'm not even aware of that might have origins in racism. Like, I'm willing to recognize that. I'm willing to address that, and I do everything I can do to not act on those. You know, I don't go through yelling N-words at people or doing anything like that. And I don't do anything to harm anyone, but I absolutely recognize that there's probably some things that I do that have some sort of racial history behind them. That's not even like a hard argument to, like, if you say like absolutely nothing about me or my past or history is racist, I would be really looking at you to say, nothing? Are you 100% sure about like that? Because everyone has some sort of indication or history or something about anything that they do that inherit some sort of racism. Like, hell, I know black people who are like, yeah, I'm black and I still have internalized racism. And it's not something that's hard to, you know, like for them, they have to really, really dig down about it, or dig down and, you know, deal with it. Like, just like I've had to dig down and deal with it. I've had to come to the fact that I have to work on myself to not make gut reactions, you know, so that way I'm still making relatively cogent and intelligent positions on this. Like, it's not a hard thing to do. And of course, there's going to be people who clip this, and there's going to be people who look at this and say, oh, you just admitted you're racist. And it's like, no, I'm admitting that our society is racist and that I'm a part of that society. There's nothing I can do to change the fact. Well, I guess there's things I can do to change that society, but there's no society on Earth that doesn't have some form of racism isn't in it. Like, you can't find, if you can find me a society on the planet that isn't racist in some way, I would literally write you a check for $1 million. And I don't even have $1 million, but like, come on, that's like how this shit works. Jesus Christ.
This argument is more philosophical than scholarly.
Well, no, this is not philosophical. This is very evidence-based. This is very evidence-based. There's still racial policies that get enacted today, like voter ID laws. Voter ID laws is the most obvious thing. Like, what was it, North Carolina? Voter ID law, laser targeted black people. This was a couple years ago. Yeah, North Carolina. This was last year. North Carolina voter ID law targeted black voters. And this wasn't just like, you know, some small little thing. This was lawmakers went past a voter ID law in the state of North Carolina. And when they were writing this bill, they did a ton of research that went through and said, oh, these are the most common places, these are the most common forms of ID black people tend to use, these are the most common IDs that, you know, like Hispanic people tend to use, like white people tend to use this. And they literally went through and saying, like, this is the specific ID you need. And then the Supreme Court went through and they used, and they said this was almost surgical precision. Like, this is precision, like military special forces level of precision. So yeah, no, absolutely. This is still happening. Like, America absolutely is a racist country.
But it undergirds the entire 1619 project. It's also pernicious because it suggests that the United States is an inherently racist country that can't.
Which we are. We absolutely are. And no, we can't overcome our flaws. Not while, number one, the Republican Party is still largely in control of things, disproportionately in control of things. And not while we're still fundamentally a capitalist society. Absolutely not. There's a ton of like socioeconomic factors that we need to redistribute wealth. We need to have lawmakers in there that absolutely represent the people. Gerrymandering is a huge problem with this. There's a ton of factors that we can't actually begin to address our racial inequalities in for a lot of things. Like we can start to do them, but we will never not become inherently racism for a long time.
Overcome its flaws. Yet that's exactly what it's done. Today, America is the most successful multiracial country in history. The only white majority country to elect a black
What?
president twice.
Oh yeah, Obama was elected, so we're not racist. We did the black president. Yeah, that seems legit there, boy. Are you honestly trying to make the argument that because we elected Obama, we're no longer racist? Holy fucking shit! I remember when Obama was elected, there were literally people that had like fucking like Obama like mock-ups of they make like you know how people make like scarecrows and shit. They do that, only it was Obama. Like they paint the fabric black and put him in a suit and whatever, and we're literally tying nooses around it and dragging it through the streets, like literally making death threats against our president. Yeah, but we're not racist. You're right.
Twice.
Wait, white. I'm also white majority countries with black leaders. I mean, I can't really talk to this because I don't know this. I don't know if that's a true statement or not. I want to say my gut tells me it's not. I would be surprised if there wasn't other black heads of states. Like, I would be surprised. I mean, I would be surprised if there wasn't, but I also wouldn't be surprised if we were. But it seems like, well, we can't be racist because of this argument, which is fucking stupid.
Of course, progress has not always been smooth. There have been terrible setbacks.
Well, no, and of course the thing is, the people you're working for making this video right now are trying to work against any sort of Dennis Prager, like. I'm sure if I were to go through and look through his entire complete collected works, would go through and make some sort of argument about how in fact, we should redefine our voting base as to white male landowners only, or some shit like that.
But to compare American attitudes about race today to America 100 years ago, let alone...
Whoa! Thumbs up! Oh my god, did this fucking entire summer not, ring any... how many conservatives were going through and calling BLM fucking degenerate and, anyone fighting for social justice? Literally the largest civil rights movement in our country, since the actual civil rights movement, is you're calling a fucking huge racist and a waste of time. Are you kidding me? No. If I were to take this right here, let me... Where we actually are today, here's what their little meter's saying. Here's what their little meter's saying. Here's Here's what their little thingy's saying. I'm saying, nope, actually, fuck you, buddy. We like right here. We right there, boy. That's what this shit's going.
To 1619 is absurd. Here's a fact that should be better known.
No.
2 million black Africans have come to America as legal immigrants from countries like Nigeria in the last 50 years.
So? What does that have to do with anything? Oh, yeah. We're letting black people immigrate to America, so we're not racist. That's a fucking nothing. What a fucking pivot. Jesus Christ, that's all this is. This is just a pivot. This is a fucking pivot.
And have become one of the most successful groups in the country.
Yes, that's okay. That's actually true. By and large, immigrants tend to be successful because we tend to only let very well-educated we tend to only let people immigrate into the country who are either incredibly well-educated and going to be helping our economy by massive amounts, and that's absolutely true. We're getting a lot of highly educated people to immigrate. That is very true. I will agree with that, but that doesn't mean that we still don't have racism. Like, oh my God, we have smart people immigrating from black countries, and because they can work here and become successful, so we're not racist. You see, Dennis Prager would make the I actually have a black friend argument. I have a feeling that this guy, if I'm not mistaken, this dude looks like he Wilfred. Yeah, I can't tell if he's he looks pretty white passing to me, but he looks like the kind of person who would be like, if he is some sort of history as a POC or something, would be like, well, look at me, I'm Will the Best, Jesus Christ. What? What the fuck? Yeah, this dude looks like someone who would be like, well, I'm a person of color and I'm a Republican, so therefore Republicans can't be racist. I don't know. I don't know if this guy's black or not, or has historical or has black ancestry or not, but he looks like he totally reads as that kind of person based on this video.
Why would these folks move to what is often called an evil, racist country?
Because there's money here. That's literally there is a reason. That is literally the reason, because there is money here. As bad as America is, there is a lot of money to be gotten here. It's not even funny, and so a lot of people will come here to enrich themselves. Yeah, that's not even a hard one to answer.
Because unlike many people lucky enough to be born here, they know.
Lucky enough. Yeah, okay. So wait, are you telling me then that everyone don't get me wrong, I actually like this country and I like being a citizen, despite what a lot of conservatives would believe. But there's a lot of people who would look at being born here as a fucking curse. Not kidding. There's a lot of people who would look at being I was unfortunate enough to be born in America. And that's not really a hard argument to make from their perspective. I can totally understand why they would make that.
That America is a land of opportunity for everyone.
No, America's a land of opportunity for rich, white, cisgender, heterosexual people. Yes, you will find some people who don't fall into that you will find people who don't fall into those category or categories or that particular intersectional makeup as successful people, but by and large, if that's your intersectional makeup, you are way more likely to succeed. Statistically, it's not even fucking funny. It's massively slighted toward their favor.
It's also only fair to note that while blacks have heroically fought for our rights, often against great odds, we haven't done it alone. A vast number of decent whites.
Okay. So he does just considered himself a person of color and has most likely black ancestry.
Have also advanced the cause of racial equality.
I feel like,
to cite one of a number of decent whites have also advanced the cause of racial equality alone. Blacks have heroically fought for our rights, often against great odds. We haven't done it alone. A vast number of decent whites have also advanced the cause of racial equality.
Well, you see, America can't be racist because white people fight against racism all the time, and I'm here to tell you that Dennis Prager is absolutely one of those people. You see, he's fighting against the crazy BLM mobs who want to take away and destroy the cis-normative family. What do you... Of course there are white people who don't like racism. Jesus Christ, what is this? But it's, by and large, not fucking Republicans that... Alright, Alright. It's not conservatives. Conservatives, by and large, want to preserve racial antagonisms, if not increase them, because it is absolutely in their political interest, because it's in the interest of... it's in the interest of the people who fucking lie to them like Dennis Prager. Jesus Christ.
To cite one of countless examples, the U.S. Senate that passed the landmark Civil Rights Act in 1964 contained 98 whites and 2 men of color.
What? What does this have to do with anything? They literally passed the Civil Rights Act of 1964 after years of accelerated racial tensions, of fucking rioting in the streets, of people actually fucking dying. This wasn't something where they were like proactively being like, yes, racism is bad, all this other kind of stuff. This is stuff that they literally sat on their asses until they were like, if we don't do something about this country will tear itself apart. Like, they weren't like proactively doing stuff about it. And yeah, you're gonna have people like Bernie Sanders, who I'm guessing this person would say is a fucking like evil person, who like Bernie Sanders absolutely out there. Like I don't remember when Bernie Sanders was born, but I guarantee you. But no, I do know that he was marching for civil rights, back in the 60s. Like I guarantee you that he was doing that. Yeah, there are white people who are in agreement with racism being bad and fight for it, but it's not the people you're fucking saying it is. These people are literally sitting on their asses until they have to do something. That's just how it fucking works.
And they were Asian. The great black leaders of the past.
Oh. This has nothing to...
Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, Booker T. Washington, Martin Luther King.
Yeah, all four of them based as fuck. Yeah, a pretty pog.
Never lost faith in America's promise that all people are created equal.
Yeah, but they had to fight like fucking hell for that. Like, Martin Luther King literally died in the pursuit of equality for all. Not just in form of racial equality, but also in the forms of other social equalities. Like, this wasn't something where it was like, oh, like they just kind of said, hey, guess what? People are equal. And all of a sudden, boom, people were equal. No, that wasn't the case. They had to fight tooth and nail. Like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Cool. None of them believed that racism was America's defining character.
No, all of them actually did. They all knew it, and they knew they were fighting an uphill battle. I guarantee you right now, if I can go back and talk to, like, Harriet Tubman and be like, hey, do you think racism is pretty essential to America? She'd turn to me and be like, are you fucking dumb? Or, like, she would literally turn to me and be like, you either must be really fucking stupid to think that I don't believe that, or a CIA plant. Which one is it?
They were right. Shortly after...
No, I guarantee you, like, Martin Luther King made a fucking take on it. MLK on racism. No, like Martin Luther King was on, like, documented saying, like, racism is a huge problem in America. Like, and there's a lot of problems with American racism. Like, he even made a fucking big deal about the white moderate in his letter from a Birmingham jail. Like, it was not even like a small thing. I need to go through and do some research on it. But yeah, no. I don't know what this dude's on.
MLK was killed by the government because of the Poor People's Campaign, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, he was killed because he was a socialist.
Well, no, but like...
They did racial justice to try and quell the Poor People's Campaign because socialism was becoming a thing.
No. But the point that I was making, though, is that, and this is largely true, is that when he was fighting for equality in America, he was fighting for equality of all, not just, racial equality or civil rights justice. He was fighting for...
It's called the Poor People's Campaign.
Yeah. The Poor People. Yeah, he was largely fighting for the Poor People's Campaign, rights of workers to seize the means of production outside of... Yeah. Yeah, no, it was an ostensibly socialist movement, and that's why he was killed. Yeah, no, absolutely.
After the 1619 Project was published, a group of distinguished historians, almost all on the left, wrote a public letter condemning the work.
Nope. I remember this. I fucking remember this. 1619 Project condemnation. I fucking remember this. And it wasn't people on the left. Hold on. Let me see if I can't get to... I want to say Wikipedia actually talks about it. All right. 5 leading American historians, Sean Willens, along with McPherson, James McPherson, Gordon Wood, Bynum. Victoria Bynum? Let me just Google her. And Oakes, James Oakes. Sent a letter to the Times expressing objections to the framing of the project, accusing the authors of displacement of his historical understanding by ideology. The letter disputed the claim made by Hannah Jones' introductory essay in the 1619 project that one of the primary reasons the colonists decided to declare the independence from Britain is they wanted to protect the institution of slavery. The Times, which then they recanted, by the way, and that was actually a valid thing because Britain had domestically already rejected slavery and was starting to do so and talk about doing so in the colonies. So yes, that's absolutely a cogent argument to make. The Times public, even though it wasn't the central reason, Times published a letter along with the rebuttal of the magazine's editor-in-chief, saying, "I don't know any colonists who said they wanted independence in order to preserve their slaves. No people might not be like overtly expressing that, but let's look at these people." Radical and Republican, Frederick Douglass, Abraham Lincoln, in terms of anti-slavery politics. Okay, so someone who's fought against slavery, okay. This seems to has prominently engaged in the current political debate. He's a longtime family friend of the Clintons, has appeared in public venues, staunch defender of Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. Oh, is this the well, the Democrats are left argument? Which is false, like absolutely false. Anyone who says the Democrats are left is just fucking stupid. Hey, how's it going? Hope you're doing well, Ainor. I do appreciate you stopping in today. Denouncing George W. Bush. Yeah, took issue with the 2013 NSA leaks, in particular. No. Whoa. The value of some of the revelations does not mean they deserve the prestige and influence that has been accorded. Okay, yeah, no, I wouldn't call this person a leftist if you disagree with Snowden. No, like, fuck you. James McPherson. Outspoken on contemporary issues and for activism on behalf of this and work behalf of the Civil War battlefields as a president protect him. He lobbied against the construction of this. Doesn't seem to have any political indication of this to me. I don't know. The Civil War, this doesn't. He wants to protect American history. This doesn't have a political leaning against us on it at all. Gordon Wood. Friend of Newt Gingrich. This person doesn't appear to be on the left by anything I'm reading here. Maybe there's something I'm just not seeing. Radical reality of the American Revolution, conspiracy and paranoid style, causality and deceit in the 18th century. Good. How are you doing, Declan? A recent project was the third of the Oxford. Yeah, this doesn't seem to be like this person's like on the left. Maybe like a neo-lib for the most I would ascribe to any of these people, but even then I think I'm stretching by a large degree on that. Yeah, there's one person here that I saw that's maybe on the left, and that's James Oakes, and even then I don't know much about him. Victoria E. Bynum. What is this person? Oh, I guess I can easily tell. The Free State of Jones. Newt Knight. These. And suppression of IYSSE account after widespread international use for social equality. So, like, this person seems to be just like a sock dem. Maybe. Yeah, this person's like a neolib sockdem type. That doesn't equate to leftist at all. Yeah, all right, all right, fine. What do you have to say about this? This doesn't really seem to be like a huge leftist take. I do remember that there were a lot of people who like backlashed against this, but primarily
They called it a displacement of historical understanding by ideology.
Yeah.
They were right too.
No, I remember this, and they talked about this, and they changed their initial claims. Like, they came to an understanding and changed their initial claims and said, even though it wasn't overtly one of the reasons, that there was still some sort of cogent argument to be made, which I wouldn't disagree with. And, like, ever since then, they've kind of, like, changed the toning on this. This seems really disingenuous.
I'm Wilfred Riley, Associate Professor of Political Science at Kentucky State University for Prager University.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So, yeah, no, basically my take on this entire thing is what he's trying to get at and what he's trying to say here is that, oh, yeah, well, no, because of X, Y, and Z and all this other bullshit, America's fundamentally not racist, which we know is false. Like, there's no way that I think you can cogently defend America. Like, we absolutely have racist tendencies in the state, and I'm not trying to say that, you know, by participating in American society, that automatically makes you just as bad as, you know, the racist state we live in. Like, no, like, there's definitely things that you can do as an individual to make you come off as less racist or more helpful. Like, and I'm not trying to say that everyone in a certain political party is or anything like that. It really has to depend. It really depends on a lot of things. I think overall, though, the 1619 Project is really, really, really good about re-examining our history and highlighting a lot of the issues that we have in American history. And I think that this is literally just PragerU's attempt to say, oh, no. You know, what's the meme where they're like fucking wiping sweat? What? Yeah. Yeah. This right here. Hold on. Like, literally, this is fucking PragerU, like, talking about this. Like, you know, like, oh my god, like they're just trying to get rid of this because they know that America has a really problematic past with, you know, racial history, and, you know, that doesn't really look good on America, and they want to change and subvert that as much as they can. Like, sorry, but it's kind of true, and, like, that's fine. Let's admit it and let's do something about it. Let's move on about it. But no one's sitting here and saying, well, you know, America's always been racist, blah 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 blah, and we have to deal with it the right way, and this is the only way we can deal with it. This is just trying to get the conversation started and get people to realize that as a country, we have problems, you know, and trying to get people to understand that when, you know, someone like Donald Trump says, let's make America great again, you know, that kind of brings in a subtext of conversation of like, wait, great, like what? What did you consider to be great? Because if you go back to, say, the 50s, well, 50s still had segregation. That's pretty racist. Like, black people couldn't vote in the 50s, you know? Even sooner than that, like, go back to the 80s where there was tons of fucking crime. You know, like, what's the America great? Go back to before Obama was elected? You know, when we were under Bush's, you know, control, getting into wars over oil in other countries? Like, you know, that's really makes you think. Yeah, if you enjoyed this video, I hope definitely leave a like, comment, subscribe. Be really appreciative. Also, feel free to check me out on Twitch. Stream every Saturday, politics. I know I took a little bit off, but I'm getting back into it, and we're doing it. We are going full force. Follow me on Twitch. Of course, you can subscribe. I always appreciate that. Yeah, I hope you have a great one.